Well, it's been a while. I bought the rule set on Foundry for RMU. You should buy it. Thanks for listening. Bye. Okay. I did track down Bob, the designer of the rule system on Foundry, and had a chat with him. Here it is. Hope you enjoy it. I wanted to entitle this something to do with Bob the World Builder, but not obviously not Bob the World Builder, I mean Bob the Mod Builder. But okay, Foundry is a virtual tabletop, and RMU is a role playing system. How do you fit into that?
Well, I fit into that. I write both the game system, so that's that kind of like the tabletop implementation of the game on Foundry. Okay, so is the way it works is you generally have to have a game system. Okay, so like Dungeons and Dragons or Rolemaster or Dungeon Crawl Classics, Traveler, those are all systems. Once you install those, generally they can be augmented. So that's like generally what that game system is kind of like the core rules, like the foundational support you need to play the game. And then modules extend that behavior. So, like in Foundry, there's things, the way Iron Crown has it set up is a spell law is a module. So if you want magic in your system, you have to have the spell law module. So it basically just follows their books. So core law gives you the basic framework to play the game on Foundry. Okay,
Right.
that's the game system. Then there's spell law and then treasure law and creature law. Those are currently available as well. But those three are modules on the Foundry ecosystem. And each one of those augments those base rules with a lot of digital assets. So like all the spells, all the spell lists, additional rules and optional rules for the game.
So what can I call you then? Can I call you? I can't call you Bob. Bob, the user of modules builder, because that doesn't quite scan so much, does it really?
Oh,
So let's take a step back. As you can see,
yeah,
I'm a real
yeah,
professional interviewer here by we're diving into
it's
that
okay.
kind of thing. Right. So the first question, it's quite a boring one, but I'm always interested in the answer. Is how did you actually get into role playing?
I can remember the very day actually. Okay, it was a warm summer day. I think it was in August, and my friend and I we were in probably junior school, like say sixth grade. Okay, so maybe fifth grade even.
Yeah.
And we're just playing, catch with a ball or whatever in front of his house. And he goes, "Hey, you want to play Dungeons and Dragons?" I'm like, "What is that?" And he goes, "Oh, my mom just got it for my birthday." And then we go inside, and I make my first D&D character, basic set, box set character that day. And yeah, so for a long time, he was the dungeon master, and I was his only player for probably a couple years.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Because obviously this is before. It's hard to like now we can just jump on a forum somewhere and get some players. But yeah, you're quite right. You're kind of stuck. We played with cousins in a very small group. So when did Rolemaster sort of come onto the scene then?
It's probably a couple of years later as I got towards high school. One of my friends, we didn't have cars or anything. All we had was bicycles, and you have to ride your bicycle across the city to meet new people, right? That's how it worked. There was no BBSs, there was no internet. But in his neighborhood, some of the older kids were playing Dungeons and Dragons with the supplements, Arms Law and Claw Law,
Yeah.
for their first edition game. And I remember hearing about it through him. I think we shared paper out. We used to deliver papers together, and there was a area between our homes, so we shared the route for. And that's how I first heard about it. But I wasn't invited into their group. That was kind of like the older kids were playing that, and him and I were younger. I think he was allowed to play because he was like the brother of one of the players or something. But I was too young to play with those guys. But when I got it as a f I think I remember riding my bicycle to the hobby store, and, after hearing him explain what it was doing, how it was augmenting Dungeons& and Dragons and making it so much more fun, I remember I bought it, at one of the hobby stores, and so it was in supplement form, there was no character law yet,
So you bought
and,
Arms Law and Claw Law, or you bought the actual
yeah,
Role? Okay. Yeah.
yes. Yeah, I don't remember if it was, I think they were individual, I don't know, it might have come in a box, I don't remember. It was a long time ago. It was probably like 1980.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't remember having character law yet at that point in time. But by the time I became in ninth grade, I was a freshman in high school. I met other people from other communities, and sitting in the lunchroom, and one of this guy's like, Dungeons and Dragons isn't like the only role playing game you can play. There's
You're saying this
strategy.
in 1980, are you?
This is 1981.
So after
19,
they
now
stopped
we're
throwing rocks at you, what did you do?
Well, I know I resisted a little bit. I really liked my Dungeons and Dragons first edition. I mean, I remember being pretty attached to that, probably still in 1981. Then I got invited into like was they're playing Rolemaster in Middle Earth. Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if I made the character. I was probably given one because I don't think I had character law or even knew how to make a character in 1981 yet.
So
And
this is still with first edition D&D. With that was a bolt on for yourself personally, or was this like through the gateway drug, which is MERP?
they were playing Rolemaster, 1980. So maybe it's 82.
Right.
I was invited in. It was like the end of my freshman year in high school. I think is probably the first time I played Rolemaster with a group that had been playing with the rules, and they were
Right.
they were
Okay.
playing it in Middle Earth without MERP. I don't even know if MERP was out yet. They were kind of ahead of their time. It was MERP. It was the mid '80s, I think, right when it came out.
Yeah, that's when I played it. It was 85, but I was in Northern Ireland. We were a bit behind the times with most stuff got getting to us.
Yeah, yeah. So I know the game master at the time. So I played with those guys through high school, and I know MERP came into the conversation because I remember being fascinated, and I remember the modules, like the MERP modules at the hobby stores that you could buy, like the Mirkwood, and
Yeah. Wow.
you know, and those were really fascinating to me. And I love playing. I mean, I was hooked at that point. Part of it was the fascination with Middle Earth, and part of it was the fascination with the the grit and realism that Rolemaster had.
Well, that's it. I suppose that's kind of like almost like a follow-on question. What is it that dragged you with it? Because like originally you've seen the Arms Lord Clawler, which is stuff full of tables and crit tables. Is that what's grabbed you for Rollmaster?
I think by itself it was real. I remember looking at that, having no real context other than hearing about it and seeing and reading the criticals and being absolutely fascinated by them. Like blow Pop's foe's eye or whatever it might be, or you trip over a turtle on a fumble. Those were absolutely fascinating. So I wanted that in my role playing games for sure. Okay, but it took on my own, I couldn't put it all together, like, all the rules. I don't think I had, like yeah, I know, like, by the time I was in college, I had character law and that kinda stuff, and I understood the whole process, but, like, through high school, I didn't have everything I needed to, like, assemble the game myself, so I really depended on my group, the game master and the other guys there. They were a little bit older than me.
We had something similar, I think, as well. Was it? I don't think until I went away to college that I actually had the character law. It was just Arms Lord Clawler bolted onto the end of on MERP, really. I think so. Maybe something similar experienced yourself. What is your favorite Rollmaster table, and why is it a
Favorite
crit table?
I like the holy criticals myself. There's not enough of them in my opinion.
Yeah, when we were doing the sound test, tell us, remind me of that one.
Oh, yeah, this is just the A critical for on the holy strikes or whatever it is.
That's
Tiny
right.
star spins around foe's head, slicing skin each time it touches. Foe takes an A/ crit each round until dead.
It's
That's
great. That's really
yeah.
good.
There's I mean the holy ones, I really like they say holy, but they could be unholy or holy, it doesn't really matter. I really like those criticals. They're fascinating. The acid criticals probably come in next because they're just so gory at times where, it melts your face or something terrible.
So, did you do like a lot of us did? Did you play throughout college, and then when you left college, maybe leave the hobby behind? Have you always been got had
Yeah.
more in?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's exactly the path I took. Yeah,
What
in
grabbed you back
college,
in again then?
uh, the what wrapped me back in, it was so, 20 years after college. I was visiting a friend. He lived not too far from me, in a different town, and I was over. He calls me over and he says, I'm just talking to him in his living room, and he's not doing very well. He's sick, and he said, "Hey, I'd really like to play that game we played in college." I'm like, Do you mean Rollmaster?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's it." And I'm like, dude, I don't even know if I have the books anymore. I haven't touched one of those books since college. And yeah, so that night, I mean, I knew what he was asking. He goes, "Hey man, what he's saying is I want to put the kind of the band back together and I want to
Yeah.
play that game just in case. I don't know what's going to happen to me type of thing." And I'm like, "Oh man, all right, I'll make it happen, dude." So I went home. I dug through my basement. I couldn't find. I still haven't to this day. I haven't found any of my old materials. My mom probably pitched them when I was in college. But yeah, sadly. Um,
I think we've all
but
experienced that, Bob, unfortunately.
yeah, I got online and this was like I think it was 2022, and literally like the week before they had released core law for RMU. Okay, I saw that. I mean, I didn't even know about drive through RPG. I didn't know about fantasy. I didn't know about any of this stuff in
So
2022.
you're saying then that it's sort of like you've only got back to the hobby, what, maybe the last year?
2022 is like that night. It was a song like probably July of 2022. I, have a conversation with my friend. I come home, can't find my old books. I look online. I discover that there's something called Drive Through RPG, and that
Okay.
Iron Crown is still around, and they're selling books. And they had just published Core Law like that spring or something like that. So I bought the PDF, and I ordered a hardback of the book. And I called my friend up. I said, "Hey, are you okay with playing without magic? Because it doesn't look like there's a spell law available yet." And he goes, "I don't care about magic." And I called some other friends to see if they would be interested in playing, and they were. And I gave them the same spiel. One of them wanted to be a ranger. I'm like, "Oh man, I don't have any spell lists." I said, "Hey, can we do spells kind of like theater of the mind for a little while? I'll let you do. You be creative. We'll just make up rules as we go, so you can be a ranger."
Nice.
And yeah, he's like, "I'm fine with that. That sounds great." And yeah, so we used core law, and we had some light magic, and we even had a healer. We had no spell lists, but we had a healer. Yeah, we
So
hand waved a lot of stuff until spell law came out.
and this is face to face? So have you
Yeah,
I
yeah,
missed that?
this was all at the kitchen table or his kitchen table. Yep, that's exactly how we played. We were still local. Several of us were still lived in this nearby. We could drive to each other's house. And then he he tells me after we get this game off the ground and we're having a great time with it. He says, "Hey, I have to move. I have to move to another state because I have a better chance of a organ donor transplant in a different state." I'm like, "Oh my god!" So as soon as he said that, then I was on a mission.
Right.
I looked at Owlbear Rodeo and I was like, "Okay, in a pinch, I could use this. This won't be a problem." But the problem is like, people are going to want they want more all the time. Help, in terms of like what the game supports. And Albert Rodeo does a great job at what it does, by the way. But I went looking. I think I found at that time I found Discord, and there was someone advertising the game. They were looking for players on Fantasy Grounds for RMC,
Right. Yep.
and I believe that's what I believe that's what I played as a kid, like in college. I don't think I missed the RMSS and all that because by when that stuff came
Same.
out, I was already out of college, and I just was never aware of it.
Yeah, same. So that would have
So
been Dakadin's one on
yeah,
RMC. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I thought that was, to be honest, absolutely brilliant.
Same. Yeah, yeah,
Um, but we were playing RMU, okay, and Decadent hadn't released the RMU for a while yet.
yeah.
So I'm like, well, I write software. I don't write web-based games or anything by trade,
Hmm.
but your programming wasn't like new to me at all. So I'm like, well, I'll just write a simple thing. I looked at all the different VTTs, Roll20, Fantasy Grounds, and Foundry and Owlbear. Those were like the four I considered. Owlbear doesn't let you do like custom systems, so that was out. Fantasy Grounds required. There was some technology there. I mean, I really love playing the game. To me, that was the state of the art, and it might still be the bar at which you compare all the Rolemaster to.
Well, but that's like the
Um,
automation that it gives you. Do you mean? Do you mean
yeah, the details online, the customization, the documentation. I was super impressed with all that.
roll 20?
Then Roll20, yeah, it looked like it for the most part. The only thing I didn't like was it was subscriber based. It was very proprietary, so to speak. I was like, okay. I mean, I had the skills to go into that, but I didn't want to. So, but that turned me away as a developer. And I know at the time I don't even know if Nash was working on Roll20 or not. He might have been, but I wasn't. I wasn't really aware of what was going on in the community, to be honest. And I was thinking of it just for my own game anyway. I wasn't thinking about Iron Crown and selling it later or anything like that.
Yeah, this is to play with your buddies. It's really admirable.
Exactly. That was all I wanted. You know, they're going to be in different states now. I had to figure out how to do that. And then Foundry, I liked it. It was just buy once, play forever, and the technology kind of fit what I was willing to invest my time in, and so I started there.
Right. That's just really, it's just, I'm really admirable the way that you've got into that. You know, you just thought, I'm going to play it. I want to keep playing with my buddies, so I'm going to do this. I've got the skill set. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Do you think that's the way it's going to go with virtual tabletops? Is it going to go more and more to online rather than face to face, especially for like really crunchy systems like Rolemaster?
Oh, well, there are several things to parse out of that question. The I I think the if I have a choice between playing at a table and playing online, I will always play at a table.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
There's just no. I mean, that's just for me. I love it. I know there's a more hand waving or whatever because of the volume of information that you have to have like at your fingertips. And depending on what you remember, it may not require any of that. But anyway, that's so. But I love that experience of being across the table from people, seeing their faces, the emotion.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just love it.
It's a different way of playing, isn't it? It can be quite stilted online because you're not quite sure. Where you can pick up on those visual cues when you're around the table, going, "Oh, hang on, I'll just be quiet because Bob here is about to talk."
Yeah, you do get some, talking over each other, especially when people live like across an ocean from each other. There's some games where there's people in Europe, Australia, South America, and they're all on, and there's a little bit of delay between the voices. It can be kind of frustrating online sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
But we all know a lot of people don't live in the same towns they grew up in, but they want to play with some of their same friends. Okay,
Hmm.
so now if you're not within driving distance, I think it's wonderful. The VTTs you can still play. The audio has gotten great since 2020. Like there's really good options for at least the audio side of it. Like I think most games use Discord.
Yeah.
And I think initially we used Google Meet, and it was just fine as well. It just allows you to play with your friends, and I think that's just an
It
amazing
really
thing.
is, yeah. I mean, we find it. I imagine a lot of people would think it is that you're in the house with Mrs. and you're going to go and do role playing. You're not getting your car dropping off somewhere. You can literally just jump into a separate room. Lucky enough to have an office here. Close the door, and if they need me, I can just go. Hang on a second, go out and do something, and be back in 5 minutes. Which it's just the flexibility there is the nice trade off. I think.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and the other thing that's really interesting is you can recruit players that you wouldn't normally be able to play with. I've had a pretty positive experience with that. I've been invited to a couple of games to play in, and I didn't know anyone from a previous from my past, and had a great time with them. And we're playing Rolemaster, so that was
Yeah,
really enjoyed that.
you know, touch wood here. Yeah, every Rolemaster game that I play with have been really good people to play with. I've been lucky because I know maybe the more popular games you have, many more people to choose from, which gives you many more chances to find somebody you're not going to get along with.
Oh, and that's the last piece of it on Rolemaster. Like some people, like if you go online, you talk to people about Rolemaster, and now that these game masters, the ones that are familiar with a VTT, they're comfortable with running a game on a VTT. I've spoken to this is just my sample size. It's not huge by any means, but the ones I've talked to, yeah, have said like I probably wouldn't run Rolemaster in person at this point. Like because I'm so comfortable with the VTT, it makes it so much easier,
Yeah.
and so that's good and bad. uh, I'm super happy that they're playing Rolemaster, but I'm like, wow, I mean, I have basically a bag of books that I can just run out the door with if I want to play in person. It's
Yeah.
just sitting right next to me
I look
right
at
here.
a grey go bag, which is my one, which had all my Rollmaster, everything I needed, and their own little charts printed off for them. Here's your broadsword table. Here's your crit table. So you just hold on to those.
Yeah, exactly. When we're playing in person, I went to one of the printing places in town, and I just made copies of all the tables for their weapons, and so they had their character sheet and every crit table and attack table that
Just what they
they could
need.
use.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
But I suppose when you've got the automation of a rule set, you don't necessarily need that now, do you? Because it's been worked out for you.
Yeah, yeah. It takes away some of that. I love it's the same guy that I originally inspired me to even go looking at RMU. He's like, he goes, "Hey Bob, I this is what I imagine Rolemaster could be in the 80s, but I didn't know. I had no idea how to build it myself, and so I thought that was probably the greatest compliment I've had was probably that. He was my best man in my wedding, etc. But
Right.
he's he always gives it to me pretty raw. So that when he said that he meant that. I was pretty excited when he said that.
That is good. I mean, and so with that idea about people trying to translate doing something online, everything for them to face to face, or having to like maybe make some trade offs. When you made the what should we call this? It's not a rule set. It's the rule set modification. I'm still not sure what to call it for what you've actually
Oh,
produced.
it's a game system.
So it's a game system for Foundry. All right. So how did you decide? Okay, right. This is what I'm going to automate, and this is what I'm going to leave up to the players, stroke the GMs to do. Did you make a conscious decision for any of that? Was that a hard question?
There is it. Yeah. It's a hard answer too. There's some basic expectations that you just have, right? So like the character sheet, like it should calculate all the you have ranks in a weapon, your skill bonus. There's certain things that you have to have for people not to run away from it, right? So like the like core law in terms of like the character sheet, it's probably nearly, if not 100% covered. Okay. Where the automation really gets tricky is when you get into spells and talents. Okay.
Right.
That's where the work is. Like if you were to take this game to a video game company and said, make me a video game, they would tell you you're crazy. Okay. And that's because like the video games don't have the diversity and all the variants of every spell and things like that. It's generally, they might have a lot of spells or a lot of like special abilities, but if you were to count them individually, it's probably like 100 or 200. Rollmaster has 5,227 spells that I'm aware of today.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So in each one, I was just talking to a guy this morning and he's asking, how come this isn't automated? I'm like, well, it's, here's what I'm not exactly answering your question here, but I will. I like what I tell him is what I told this guy this morning was it's if I look up at the river, that's flowing down towards me as work that I have yet to accomplish, if any sane person would just turn around and run, right? But I just keep my head down and I have my checklist and
Yeah.
and drip by drip, I drain the river. And that's how I'm getting through it because if I it's overwhelming to go.
Yes.
It's
Is there at
overwhelming.
any point, Bob, where you've gone right? Okay. Oh my god. This you started like whether that very first part you started coding, and then you sort of realised what's ahead of you. Did you feel like jumping in that river and paddling away?
Oh, several times. Oh, for sure. I gave my word, so I stick. You know, unless something was absolutely just going to go off the rails,
And that was
there's no back.
that was giving your word to your friends.
My friends, yeah, we didn't even talk about how I got into Iron Crown part, but yeah, that's for my friends. That was kind of like it was a pivotal point actually. Like for my friends, I was only going to go so far. Okay,
Yeah.
because for my friends, I'm not saying they're not worth my time, but I was starting to get into so much to add the next level versus what I had built for them for my own game was going to require a lot more work. Okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, if I'm going to do that, other people should be able to use it too, but I can't distribute it. Bad things will happen to me if I try to let other people have access to
Yeah.
it.
Absolutely.
um, so that's when what I did is I made some videos, just some screen captures and it was a Google Doc kind of walking through kind of if you think of it as like a script or whatever,
Yeah.
and then there's some attached videos, and I sent that to Colin at Iron Crown, and that kicked off the entire conversation there. But like if he would have said no, we're not interested, I would have just stopped. It would have just been whatever I wanted whenever I felt like doing it. But I was at the point where I had like a lot of melee combat, the range combat, all the generic weapons, and most of the offensive spells, like the elemental ones anyway, they were all automated. And but the next level to really make it like look pretty, more automation, I was just going to take an enormous amount of time.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not doing that if Iron Crown doesn't want anything to do with this, because it's just going to be, I'm just, it's a sinkhole.
Yeah, you got 5,000 plus spells you even
But
think about these by
yes,
themselves.
you don't even. Oh my gosh, it depresses me every day. Um, so I sent that off to Colin. It probably took I'd say 3 months. It might have been more before we arrived at like him saying, "Hey, we would really like you to do this for Iron Crown. We like what we see is kind of the gist of it." After all the questions were answered, yeah, then I got a contract that says basically, if you can deliver this in 3 years, we'll sell it for you. So it took me, gosh, I don't know. I'll say 1 year. My wife will say it was like 13 or 14 months. She was counting every day I worked on it. You know, she's a saint to let me do this, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I think we
And
might want to give you a sainthood for doing this for the community. To be fair, Bob.
oh my gosh. And yeah, so 14 months from start. So I had some pre-existing stuff, but none of what I had before. A lot of it couldn't be used for the version that was going to be released, like, publicly, because uh, I I didn't really make a Foundry game system for my friends. I did. I'm kind of familiar with some networking and things like that, so I did some things. So it looked like it was running in Foundry, like the combat and stuff like that, but it wasn't. It was actually running in a completely different system that I had running right beside it,
Right. Okay.
and it just looked like it was all in Foundry. So like even the character sheets were, it was like there was I'm not sure if you're familiar with Foundry architecture, but there were some real Foundry assets, but a lot of the datas and all the number crunching, none of the number crunching was actually done in Foundry. It was all done in I call it a sidecar. It was an external program,
Right.
and
Okay.
Foundry thought it was all part of Foundry because of the way I had it all networked together. When I did explain that to Colin, I said, "Hey, this is what you're seeing here isn't exactly, it's running in Foundry.
This
I
is
know
proof of
how to,
concept.
yeah, it's definitely a POC." And anyway, so a lot of what I did I had to start over, okay, to do it for the market, because I couldn't deliver a system like that. It would be way too complicated for 99.9% of GMs to even install if they used what I did. It was easy for me. For my own personal stuff, it was great, but it would have been a nightmare for everybody else.
Right. Yeah. I mean, have you had to choose between staying faithful to the rules, or you've had to because it's with the Iron Crown. You've had to actually follow the
Yeah.
rules down to the letter.
Yeah. So that's I kind of dodged your prioritization there question, but that leads into it as well. It's faithfully raw. Okay, rules as written.
Hmm.
And there's only if you go into game settings, you scroll through that, there's a lot of game settings, and only a handful of them are not optional rules that are described in the books. Okay, and one of them, I'm not even sure if this is a great example. It allows you, if you turn it on, you can bank development points. So like when you're developing a character, you always get in that situation. I feel like you have one development point left and you have nowhere to spend it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, what do you do with that, right? And I don't want to lose it. So there's a little slider there. A GM can say, I'll let you save up to one development point, or four. I let my guys carry four over, no more
Yeah.
than four. They can always have four in the bank. But I think I'd let you set that all the way up to, I don't even remember. It's a lot. So like that might be a house rule. I don't even know. I can't remember. There might be some talk of it in the book. But that one might be the only one that's like pure house rule that I've coded.
Nice. I mean, is there any kind of decision you've made when you designing, the module, the game system, that you actually you've got like a whole that punch the air moment, like you're particularly proud of it? I mean, it
Oh,
might even be something we don't even notice as users of the system.
well, there's two. There's two things. I'll let you show. So one that you won't discover until you're probably mid-level. So mid-level is like level 5 or higher.
Hmm.
And maybe not at level 5, maybe it takes you level 6 or 7, depending on your character. But there's a rule called similar skills, okay,
Yeah.
in Rolemaster. So I automated the similar skills for combat. It's the only one I did it for, because the other ones there's too much gray area. I couldn't automate it. Like, can I use my lore skill of rivers to swim? Sure, but I mean I can't automate that. GM might say, I'll give you 1 rank or +5 or whatever because you study rivers and fluid dynamics, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I can't put that into the game as automation, right? You just have to do that at the point in time. But like for combat, if you are a fighter, for example, your offensive bonuses in 1 or 2 different combat training groups like melee weapons or thrown or whatever, they're going to get you know pretty big. And as soon as you're basically a master fighter, so you at some point you're going to be able to pick up a mace, even though you've never trained in hafted or greater hafted. It's going to automatically compute what your bonus is based on the similarity of the weapon to your best matching skill.
Wow, that's pretty
Okay.
neat.
So you and there'll be a little purple thing that says sim, and if you hover over it, it'll tell you why, what's going on there. But it'll calculate your offensive bonus for you automatically. So you can just pick up a weapon, it'll calculate your offensive bonus. You may have no ranks in that specialization, but it looks at the similar skill function rule to find out, well, are you at -25 or do you really have some skill here? And I found that absolutely fascinating. A few people have triggered it and go, "Oh my God, I can't believe it does that automatically." And so it's not an Easter egg, but it might appear to be one at some point as you're leveling up. All of
Oh,
a
that's
sudden,
gonna be
you
one of my
find
that's gonna be one of my later questions, Bob. Which have you got any hidden Easter eggs? And if you're going to put one in, what would it be? So you beat me to that.
Yeah. Okay. So the similar skills, I'm really happy. I mean, it doesn't get a lot of fanfare. Very few people probably have seen it because they haven't gone that far yet in levels to make use of it. Or if they never pick up a weapon that they don't have a specialization in, they won't trigger it.
Yeah.
It applies to creatures, by the way, too, not just player characters. The other one I really like doing was the area of effect spells, like the fireball, the cone spells, the directed spells. I really enjoyed the all the to make that really buttery smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that work and the way it turned out. So that was
Was
the other thing I
was
really
there a
enjoyed.
particular really horrible bit that took you ages to try and just get past and get it to work?
I didn't have anything that was. Some things were just time. I would say time consuming is generally the problem. None of it is fortunately, particularly difficult. It's just the amount of, depending on what it might be, it might have to touch a lot of things. Like it might have to influence like a bunch of the user interface in different points.
Right.
Like if it has to be, oh, it's going to be in the combat dialogue. It's got to be on the sheet, and it's got to, and it's offset by this other battle expertise skill, and you know, if you're depending on how much any one thing touches, it can really multiply the amount of time it takes. So that's sometimes when I hit my head on the table, it's just like, oh my God, this is going to take me like 2 weekends just for this one alchemy enchantment. And yeah, so like slaying, if on slaying, that took several days of work for sure, probably more.
God. Is there any bizarre bugs you come across when you're trying to fix
Uh,
one that springs to mind?
Nothing that's really like plagued me for a long time. I often I create my own bugs that I can. The worst thing for me is because I'm not a web developer by trade. It's like there's a thing called CSS, cascading style sheets. It's
Yeah.
what gives the layout of all the stuff that you interact with. CSS has caused me the most grief. So if I had to say like the worst bug, it didn't affect any function. It was just kind of a visual thing.
Right. Yeah.
Like if you go to your inventory table or any table where you could scroll through things like skills or anything or spells even, the one that plagued me the longest time was the headers I wanted them to be fixed, okay, at the very top. So you could scroll and the headers would just stay fixed. They wouldn't move around based on your scrolling.
Yeah.
I bet I had that almost up to the day I released it before that was figured out.
How did you
It was just
did you just figure it out yourself, or did somebody help you with that?
actually, I have a really great friend over in the UK, Ken Dearman. He actually makes some of the modules for RMU that are RMU specific. Plus, he has a one that's generic for any system called Visage, which is really sweet. Uh, he's actually very, very good at CSS. I mean, he tells me I'm not bad, but I think compared to him, he's a master. So he went in and looked at what I was doing. He goes, yeah. He just fixed it like, I don't know, seconds, I think. So
Simultaneously frustrating, but also probably you're glad that he's managed to do that.
yeah, I think it was my header size wasn't. There's something I think with the size that was wrong, if I remember. It's been like a month or more now. It's kind of vague exactly what it was, but when he explained it, it was really simple. Often it is.
I mean, did you get much help from the community? Like did they help you test it, or like did they give you a load of sort of feedback?
Yeah, Iron Crown let me have there's a, a private channel on their Discord server, and they let me have a beta group. So I think there's about 10 people in there. Some of them are from my own group, um, my own players, people I've known since like I was a child. But there's, let's say 6 or 7 that I've never met before except on Discord. It's a great group. It really is a great group of guys. They're in the UK, France, Peru, Australia, United States. I think that. Oh, Switzerland. Yeah.
And so when you've
So,
launched it then into the wild, have you had any really sort of surprising feedback that didn't get picked up or you didn't think about?
oh, I can't. I did have a day one bug. I can't remember what it was. I was really. I was just beside myself with shame. It wasn't. I have to look it up for you. I can't remember what it was, but I fixed it like moments of being reported, so it wasn't out there in the wild for very long. It was something so trivial. I don't even remember. I'd have to go look. I can't remember, but it was just embarrassingly simple. But somehow that got through myself and with the beta guys.
Do you get any like
But
helpful feedback rather than maybe sort
oh
of
yeah, oh yeah. A lot of people. So here's the thing that really struck me. There's 2 things here to say. One is I was an anxiety ball going into the release day. Like,
oh no.
what is going to explode? People are going to hate it. You think the worst things. Every time you do anything, it was like an artist taking your artwork to an art show for the first time, right? It's like, are the crowds going to throw apples and tomatoes at me? Or I, I had no idea what was going to happen. The people who have been using it were like, nah, it's going to be fine. It'll be great. But you're just never sure, right? The feedback was just overwhelmingly positive, and thankful that there was something they could use for Foundry, for Rolemaster Unified. So by and large, most of the feedback was just thank you. I see this as a work in progress. I understand it's R1. It's not going to have everything, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of like understanding there in the community of where it might be for the first release. And so that was I was just like, wow, that's unbelievable.
I thought it was excellent.
But
I mean, I
yeah,
really
yeah.
did. But I think it's part of the reason why I've sought you out because I thought this guy's done really good work here. So it'd be
Oh,
nice
I
to sort of
appreciate
like
that.
just talk to the genius. I'm not gonna kiss your ass too much, Bob, but it's genuinely it's really really good, really really good.
Uh, I really want it to be buttery smooth. I want it to be a good experience. I wanted like for new people, like one of the things I think for new people and for like the grognards that have been playing it since we were kids is like you might not remember the rules because maybe you didn't play it in a long time, and it would help you walk you through a lot of it and a lot of the information. Like a lot of places where you can just get a breakdown of why it's coming up with that number, the little icons with the bubble help or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, that's really good.
I try to do a lot of that for people so they can understand the game
Do
and
you
what
think
I'm
this
doing.
like this rule set that you've done? Do you think it'd be able to drag in maybe people who haven't played Rolemaster before, just because you've tried to help them a bit more with the complications, sort of grindiness of it?
I hope so. I hope so. I only there's a couple of people who bought the game that they reached out to me shortly after the game was released, and I was having conversation with them. There's like, how does this work exactly? Or I think there's a bug, and so there were some defects on the fringe, the first couple weeks. And one of the guys I was talking to, he it came out that he was in his 20s, and I he said it was probably his favorite game now. And I'm like, "Holy cow." I like it's like that melted my heart, to be honest. I'm like, "I can't believe it." It's just, and that demographic, that's the he didn't grow up with Rollmaster, most likely, right?
Right? Yeah. No.
Being
No.
and to say that was yeah, I was just like, "Holy cow." I mean, I think, so I think the game, if it's, if people are exposed to Rollmaster and they're playing it, I think they'll enjoy it. I got to watch a couple of games. There was a guy who the game wasn't released yet, and Nicholas had the dates all set out when it was going to release. And this guy, they have a rotation of games they play. They play a certain game for a fixed time, and then they switch to a new game, and then they switch to a new game. That's how they rotate their year. They kind of plan out their year on what game they're going to play.
Mhm.
And he goes, if it's released by this date, I can get characters made and play my campaign. Otherwise, I have to pick a different game. And I'm like, dude, I have a test server. So I said, how about I make you a game master on my test server? And then I just won't use the server when you're playing the game. And then when the game comes out, you can buy it and I'll help you transfer all your assets and characters over if needed. So that's
Wow.
exactly what happened.
Well,
So I only had one person. He really broke my heart. That's like, you need to have it like, 2 weeks before the release date. I'm like, well, I can put you on a test server. You can, and I can make user accounts for all your players. You can go through and make characters for them. You got to understand it's not released yet. And it's no different than like being in beta or something. Yeah, so when he was playing on my test server, he would invite me into the game so I could watch and listen. And they had never played Rolemaster, or it's been a long time since they had played. I think he had played on Fantasy Grounds and really liked it, but I don't think the rest of his group had played Rolemaster in either a very, very long time or not at all. That was kind of like the mix, and they had a great time. It was just beyond what I expected in terms of reaction. So,
oh, really nice. And so, like for people who want to run it on Foundry, is there anything you kind of wish that the GM would need to know before they're running sort of Rolemaster on Foundry?
oh yeah, they should definitely want to go through the game settings. I think a lot of people like, oh, I didn't know there was game settings. They just rush in. Oh, I can make a character real fast. But in the game settings, that's where you can choose your power level and like where are evil spell lists allowed, and what are they? Are they restricted? Are they closed? Are they base? You know, they really need to slow down and just absorb the game settings because unfortunately there's a lot of optional rules in Rolemaster, so you can turn on and off dozens of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Um,
turned on I think it was the piecemeal armor. I think I popped that one on.
Yeah, and the other one is, I have a little help, or I'm sorry, it's like a welcome to message that pops up when you start the game. If it's not on the screen or whatever, it just puts it on there. It gives you information on the Discord channel for ICE and the wiki and how to report issues or whatever. So
Well,
if
that
they
was that
click
was
that
that was
wiki link,
questions I'm going to ask you later on, Bob. Is actually where if someone gets hold of this. Well, first of all, where can they get hold of it?
yeah, it's on Drive Through RPG. So Iron Crown sells exclusively on Drive Through RPG. So if you go there, just make sure you're buying what you want. It can be a little confusing because there's so many core laws, so many spell laws. There's all in bundles and things like that. So if you want it all, try to find a bundle.
Yeah, I
That'll
nearly
be a
bought. I
little
think
better.
it for ERA, and I went, "Hang, listen, this is not the Foundry one. I think it was, and the one's it's by the Roll20 company, so you suddenly think it's Roll20, but it's not. The Drive
Yeah,
Through is the Roll20 company, but yeah, absolutely, just check getting the Foundry version and help
yeah.
when
I think
using it. Is this the pop up in the chat that you're saying when you first run it?
yeah. When you load the system in the chat, you'll see a welcome chat.
Mhm.
And it's not just the first time, but you can mute that. If you get tired of seeing that, you can mute it in game settings. But what it's telling you is like, hey, there's just if you want support, there's Discord, there's a wiki, okay, which I encourage people they should read. It's really quite good. And then if you need to report an issue, you just put it on GitHub. If you put it on GitHub, like you file an issue there, I won't lose it. If you DM me or if you put it in Discord, I may not see it.
It'll go up through, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't. To my knowledge, I haven't missed one there yet. But as more and more people report, they're either reporting issues or requesting features. As that volume increases, they really should just go put them on the issue tracker in GitHub. That
Yeah.
would be amazing because then I can follow up. If you look through the closed issues on there, you'll see. I usually what I do for people, especially if they find something really interesting, is I'll fix it and I'll put it on my test server, and then I'll reach back out to them and saying, would you like to verify this to make sure that I've actually addressed the issue as you expect? And I'll attach a video and I'll give them a user account on my test server so they can go in before it's released to the public and verify that it actually works as they expect.
Nice. Like see your software background there coming in.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
okay, so they've got the module from Drive Through, and they've got Foundry because obviously they'll need a license for Foundry as well, and they've gone into Foundry and enabled that. What you can add into Foundry is aids that help you run the game, called modules. What would you recommend running with Rolemaster?
Oh, okay. So this is great. So on the Foundry system, and you can go to in setup, there's a modules area, or you can do
Mm-hmm.
this on their webpage too. Under systems and modules. If you just type in RMU, hit enter for like the search, it's going to come up with a whole bunch of Rolemaster modules. Okay. There's several that are already been made for Rolemaster. They're all by Ken Dearman. He's a He's a module
Is that
creator.
Finn Road Rod? So I think I've seen him on Discord.
Phildren, yeah,
That was it.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's him. Yeah, he was on my beta team. I would like to think of him as a good friend at this point. I mean, I really do. He's like a brother to me.
Yeah.
Hopefully he feels the same way about me. But I feel like he's my brother now. I really have enjoyed collaborating with him. He's been phenomenal.
Yeah, I've
Helpful.
seen his some of his modules. I think there's like a one where you can show where your pathing is, and it's really good.
Movement.
Yeah, movement. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So what so he has one called RMU complementary skills. That's a module. And all these are on the wiki too. So if you go to the wiki, you'll see like recommended modules.
brilliant.
You'll see the list. So yeah, the complementary skills one, it implements the complementary skills rules, and it doesn't have any proprietary data in it. He's just I have APIs that he's aware about, he knows about, and he's just using the APIs that are in the Rolemaster core law to make his module. So he's not distributing anything that he shouldn't be. It's just code. He's just using, the APIs I put there
Hmm.
for people to build modules from.
Oh, so that's you've got like a that available to people who've got maybe a programming background might be able to extend it more.
Yeah, yeah. Foundry's pretty open. Even if you didn't know about any of those, there's nothing hiding like the data on a token or anything. So you could dig in and some of it. That's what he does. That's all you have to do is just look at the data on the token and just do something with it.
Wow.
But yeah, there's yeah. So that one gets a lot of use. In games I've watched, it gets that one's very popular. Like when a group of players want to work together to accomplish a certain task, like uh, push a door open or find an herb, you can use that, and it just simplifies it. Instead of like everyone at the table making a perception roll, you could just in that complementary skills calculator, you could say who's participating, and it'll add it all up. Who's the primary? You pick that actor, it'll send a chat message out, and then that person can then, press the roll button. So there's some agency there. It's not just the GM.
Right, I've got a
With it.
because I read the RMU rule system over a weekend, and I've played your rule set a few times, but I haven't got enough bandwidth, unfortunately, to play it in anger. I might play it solo or something like that and see how it goes on. But I need to use some of these cool modules. This looks really, really good. I mean, what's the future hold? Like for example, say Rollmaster, so Ironcrowd said, okay, look, we'll give you creative freedom to redesign one part of Rollmaster for the VTT. Would you do anything?
Oh,
What would you do?
I don't think they're holding. They're not barring me from doing something creative with it for sure. So like this last week, I added to the game, right? In the rules, there's this concept isn't like cemented. So in Foundry now, there's a loot actor. Okay, so a loot actor can be like it's a treasure pile on a scene. Okay,
Mhm.
it could be the inventory of a store, right? So if you break into a store or you're someone's house or you're right and you're snooping around, there can be you can look through that inventory as a PC now. Okay, so the GM can make that available. Doesn't have to make that available for you, but now they have the option to do stuff like that. So that's
Wow.
not in the game, but that in the books itself, right? But in order to play it on a VTT, you kind of have to make those types of features available to players. So what happened there is there's a module out there called item piles, which is it's probably one of the most popular modules for any game system. It's game system generic,
Okay.
so it works with D&D, Pathfinder, and it works with Rolemaster now. I added support for it right in Rolemaster, the core system. So if you install item piles, it'll just work, and you'll be able to have merchants so you can buy and sell your items to a merchant. You can have loot piles. You can drop a sword to a scene. Someone else can pick up your sword. You can trade items between players. Yeah. So that's something that, that's not in the books, but in terms of quality of life for playing the game, I think it adds a lot. And so
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm, so what I do is like, you asked me a while ago, like, how do you prioritize things? So there's basically three things. And I just kind of every week I just go, I spend a little bit of time on each one. There's the combat. Okay, so combat, like the parry system right now, isn't as automated as I'd like it to be with the
Mhm.
4 phase and with parry. So I'm working on that. Actually, that's on my checklist today to start to add. I have a branch out there where some of this is done. But I have a really nice design. I think that if it works out, it should be available not too much longer. So it just takes. It's not that you can't do it right now. It's just that it requires a lot of GM or player accounting. Like, oh, I got to change this modifier. I got to change that modifier. It's just kind of annoying. This should help smooth that out. And then there's like the magic system, right? So spell law, treasure law, and the big thing there really is the treasure law, like being able to cast things from items. So that's like next on like the magic system work I'm working on. And then there's the quality of life bucket, and so the loot was the quality of life bucket. So I generally work on quality of life stuff like over lunch, or if I have just an hour or two at night, I'll do something like that because a lot of times the quality of life stuff doesn't take a lot of like deep thinking in terms of system mechanics.
Right.
And then I
Okay.
save my weekends for like the really more important stuff that's raw in the game, like the magic system or combat.
And so that sort of finished. I think one of my final questions is, where do you see the module going next? Is it just
Oh,
dipping into these buckets as you go along?
yeah, it is definitely okay. So there's that river just keeps getting more and more vigorous and deeper.
Yeah.
So Iron Crown is coming out with a couple more books. I think that right now, like they're in, I think they're in editing and layout for, or close to it, and on 3 books. Like there's Creature Law 2, there's Character Companion, and there's Arcane Companion. Okay, all 3 of those, I mean, they could release this year. I mean, I honestly, they could. Okay, and that scares the hell out of me because that's a lot of work.
Yeah. Oh my god.
um, But it's good. I hope they do. Even if they just release 2 this year or even 1, I'd be super happy. But if they release all 3, you'll
You'll
know I'm
need,
crying at my
yeah,
desk.
you'll need an arc.
Yeah, yeah. I'll drown.
Or you'll be on that boat paddling away screaming.
Yeah, so what's next for the system is, I mean, I still have like, there's 5,227 spells. I probably have 5,100 spells yet to automate. There's lots of talents. I think the big twist that's probably going to happen, or the shift in like inside the architecture of the game, is talents are a lot like spells. Okay, they really are.
Mhm.
So, and I didn't see that initially. I did talents is one of the first things I worked on outside of like just the raw base character stuff. And so my talent system isn't great. Okay, it's not terrible, but it's not great. Like my enchantment system, like for the active effects and stuff that you have, I rather like that quite a lot. And now that I've been doing that, I'm like, man, my talents should be exactly the same thing, in terms of like the way they work
Right.
under the hood. So there's a good chance I'll probably give talents a real boost here at some point in the future. So it'll simplify it for me, and it'll make it far more usable for people to make their own talents in the future.
Nice. Well, Bob, I think that's nearly up to an hour. So thanks very much for your time. I mean, you've done a fantastic job. Hopefully, people can find you on Discord or whatever, and big you up, and we'll get hold of you, and just somehow say thanks very much. Do you have like a YouTube channel or anything like that?
I have not been making my own videos yet because there's been quite a few people making them. So I'll have to get back to you on that. I can send you a list, a couple of people that I really like their videos on.
That
And
would be
so
good. Yeah, and
those.
I can publish it somewhere.
Yeah, I purposely wasn't. Okay, so making a video can take a lot of effort, as you know. What I was fascinated with, like as soon as it came out, almost within that second week, there were videos starting to pop up on YouTube on how to do XYZ for people I had never met before. It
That's
was
good.
awesome,
It,
and
it, it will,
yeah,
because
yeah,
that's
and
because the rule set's awesome. I see. You should be. I'm surprised that when you were releasing this, you thought that you might get a negative reaction because
oh,
not. It's good. It's good, Bob. You should be very pleased with what you've made.
I think it has good bones. There's definitely, I think the frustrating, if there's anything that can be frustrating, it's like all this is done. How come this isn't done? Well, it's because it's drip by drip.
Yeah, yeah, brilliant. All right, well, Bob, thanks very much for your time, and hopefully we maybe have a follow-on interview maybe at some point.
That would be fascinating. Thanks for reaching out. I really appreciate it. Had a good time today.
All right, cheers. What a nice guy. I've popped the links that we talked about into the show notes, and I hope you enjoyed that. Cheers. Bye.